Hey guys, what's down? And you might have noticed it's been a little bit since my last video, just a bit.
What the hell? I can't believe you've done this.
I was actually working on a video on LEGO battles, but ran into multiple difficulties.
I just can't do it. I can't take this no more, man.
In the end, that video is probably never gonna come out. So you might have guessed, I'm going to take every old port from FNAF 1, the sister location, and discuss them in this video. And keep in mind that I'm referring to the old versions. Scott has remastered all the classic games to be more in line with the PC versions, but it's just not the same. Also, FNAF 6 and Ultimate Custom Night don't count, as by the time they were released, they were already considered modern. So without further ado, let's start with FNAF 1. Now right off the bat, this game includes a shop. Here you can buy plushies and cheats with real money. If you're wondering why this exists, the answer is honestly pretty simple.
Money!
Now I have to admit, I did buy cheats at one point. At the time I couldn't beat what I think was Night 5 and just really wanted to play Custom Night. Like really badly for some reason. I just had to see the 1987 Easter egg. The cheats give infinite power and a radar to track the animatronics. Also, the plushies are just PNGs of Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica slapped onto the office. Business! Oddly enough, Scott kept the shop in the modern version of this port. In fact, he doubled down. He added Foxy. What a Chad. Starting off, we can already see that this game looks a bit off. If you don't know, almost every FNAF game up the sister location used this cylinder effect to make the FNAF images look as though they're rotating. I guess to give the illusion things are more 3D than they are. Now, I've never used Click Team, so I don't know if this was too much for the ports to handle back then, but the effect is completely gone. But if I'm gonna be honest, this never really bothered me, as on a small screen, who really cares? It does make the office look farther away, is that just me? The cameras, on the other hand, are a bit iffy. Now, I used to play both the PC and mobile version, so I knew pretty much every difference between them. For example, there's these weird wire things that are removed from the mobile port, which I don't think anyone cares about except me, but I always noticed. What is pretty noticeable is the size of these buttons. They actually cover the majority of the screen compared to the PC version. Now, whenever Freddy goes into the kitchen in FNAF 1, it's known that he'll play his theme song in the background. You can switch over to the kitchen camera and it makes it louder. For whatever reason, the mobile port doesn't have this. If Freddy enters the kitchen, the game will give you no sound cue whatsoever. I actually tested this as a kid by using the radar. Whenever it said Freddy was in the kitchen, you'd hear nothing. This game is also faster. Not frame rate wise, that's much slower. I'm talking about the length of each night. Every old FNAF mobile port had this thing where the nights were shortened. In FNAF 1 on PC, the night length is around 8 minutes long, which I personally think is freaking insane. The mobile port, on the other hand, shortens it to 4 minutes and 30 seconds, which is a little short, but I'd take it over 8 whole minutes. One of the better aspects of these old ports is how much shorter and sweet the nights are. Until they got remastered. Then they became the same length. Actually, FNAF 1 Modern port added cheats called Fast Nights, which give you the original length, but the power is still designed for 8 minutes, so the game is it just isn't the same, you know? My favorite thing about these old ports are the jump scares, because as you can tell, they might be a little slow. In fact, these jump scares are so slow that you can hear the full jump scare sound effect, which is something the PC version doesn't do. It actually cuts off the sound in that version. Interestingly enough, you can plug in a keyboard to your phone or a mobile device and do CD+. That was a nice addition, Scott. Unlike later games, this mobile port I'm pretty sure has every Easter egg from the original. Even Golden Freddy, apparently. People have said they got in Golden Freddy in the old port, but I played this port so many times and never once saw him outside of the 1987 Easter egg. In fact, I can't even find footage of people getting him in the old mobile port. Just sorts of people claiming they've gotten him. So can someone please send me a video of him in the port so I don't go crazy, so I know he's actually in this port? There's the Custom Night, and well, it works fine. Has the 1987 Easter egg and everything, so yeah, good. And that's FNAF 1, pretty interesting port. It's low quality, but there's something charming about it. Now we move on to FNAF 2. This time, there is no shop, at least in the original. The remastered version adds a shop with cheats, because you know, money. Wow, Scott really added the message to help us flash the light.
Consider it.
This game is a little bit less slow than FNAF 1, but clearly there are some corners cut. A lot of camera screens were removed, like Toy Bonnie in camera 4, Toy Freddy in camera 10, and Toy Chica in camera 4. Not sure why these were removed. My best guess is to save data to make the game run better, but even when I first played this, I could tell a bunch of the cameras were missing, namely Toy Bonnie at camera 4. It's a pretty easy difference to notice. Now when I said this game was less slow, it's not by a lot, it's still pretty slow. FNAF 2 Mobile doesn't have the cutscenes before every night, which I am sure was everyone's favorite part of the game.
Oh no!
However, we do get the death minigames when you lose. All of them, by the way. There's even a chance to get Purple Guy in a Save Them minigame. Now, I believe there are some Easter eggs that do exist and some that don't. The ones that don't exist, as far as I'm aware, are the Paper Pals coming to the office. Because the Paper Pals are haunted. This is a theory, no one believes me. Because the government Endoskeleton.
Oh, what the f-
And Shadow Freddy. There's also none of those cool death screens, however, the rest seems to be in the game, like Shadow Bonnie, which for some reason just vanishes before, crashing the game. My favorite is JJ because I remember that I got her multiple times, and for some reason, when you get her, she overlaps on the camera. I can't find footage of this, but I swear it always happened. My honest reaction was, JJ? That's rare. JJ's rare. Another weird change is that when an animatronic is in your vent, the max time it can take for them to leave with your mask on is 5 seconds. The actual duration is random, but the max amount of time they can stay is 5 seconds. However, in the FNAF 2 old mobile port, the max time they can stay is actually 3 minutes this time, so pretty cool. Nerd! Nerd! At least I've seen Golden Freddy in this version, probably because he's an actual animatronic this time. I always thought it was funny how Golden Freddy would just clip through the ground when you place the mask on. I mean, technically we see him as a floating head, so this isn't really far-fetched. Then there's the custom night, but for some reason we aren't allowed to manipulate the animatronics difficulty. We can only play the challenges. The game doesn't even bother to tell us what difficulty they're on anyway, so that's great.
Outstanding!
If I'm gonna be real, the completion of 1020 mode in this version of the game is more impressive than the PC version. Because if the strategy requires you to not look at the left vent for most of the night, then yeah, it's time to cash in the check. If I had to be honest, I prefer this version of the game, because of how much shorter the nights are and how consistent you can get the mask on compared to the PC version. But there's just one thing this port messed up on. You can't honk Freddy's nose. What were they thinking? You could do this in the last port. This is unacceptable. 0 out of 10. Actually, 100. Well, let's go with 1,000. Now we move on to the FNAF game that's both underrated and overrated at the same time. FNAF 3. This is one of the FNAF ports of all time, that's for sure. Where do I even start? I mean, I can start with the graphics again if I want. Also, if you thought Springtrap's jump scare was bad in the PC version, well, you got a whole nother thing coming. You know what I always thought was funny? Because FNAF 3's nights are shorter like the previous two, Phone Dude in Night 1 pretty much talks until the very end of 5 AM. Man talked for what is pretty much 6 hours straight. You gotta give him props. The game actually has pretty different gameplay with the Phantoms. Take Phantom Foxy. Now in the PC version, Phantom Foxy has a chance to appear in your office. To avoid getting jump scared, you have to slowly move your cursor to check if he's there. If he is there, then you go back into your camera to get him to disappear. That's kind of hard because when you move from left to right, you have to tap the screen, but that's not the issue. The issue is that he can spawn while you're on the maintenance panel. What do you do to avoid getting jump scared? Well, that would be absolutely nothing.
It's such bullshit!
Apparently him spawning while you're on the maintenance panel is a bug that Scott never addressed. This alone makes FNAF 3 a lot harder for literally no reason. It's the only old mobile port that I don't think is easier. What's funny is that the hardest modes in this game will rely on you getting lucky and not having Foxy spawn at all. If he doesn't spawn, you just gotta hope you aren't in a bad position. Radical game design. What is interesting about this old port is that it doesn't have any of those cool cutscenes where you get to see Purple Guy kill all the animatronics, and then all the animatronics kill him. Instead, you get the mini games that are meant to be used to get the good ending. It's weird because in the PC version, in order to get these mini games, you have to find them through very complex secrets, like punching a number into a wall. Huh.
Scott, seriously. Seriously, Scott? Oh look, here's a wall. Let me just dial in my phone number. Beep boop boop beep boop boop.
But I guess Scott thought the mobile port didn't deserve any Easter eggs.
You get nothing!
Because I kid you not, there's only one Easter egg in this game, and it's a chance to get this random picture of Springtrap. Exclusive to this game, by the way. I actually lied, you still have to double tap the BB poster to get his minigame specifically. Also, these minigames are so simplified, it's underwhelming. All of the minigames removed your ability to jump for some reason. Both Balloon Boy and Mango's minigames expect you to just walk forward. That's it, and you win. Oh, but we can't forget the complex secret path of walking the opposite direction through a wall. Oh, Scott, you done it again! A lot of these minigames just require you to control your fall, like the one where Toy Chica has
The
an
Uzi 9mm.
For some reason, the one with shadow bonding lets you go down, but still won't let you go up. Did Scott just hate the idea of jumping in the mobile port? But no. The issue with these minigames, aside from Balloon Boys, is you can't replay them, unless you create a new game. So if you make a mistake, it's GG's. I would know. I got the good ending in the old mobile port, but not on the first try, because I messed up on the Fredbear minigame. Because this minigame is so convoluted, and since you can't jump, if you accidentally fall down to where the exit door is, you can't get back up. So I ended up having to replay the game back to night 4. Do you know how many Phantom Foxy jump scares I had to go through to get back there? I did end up getting the good ending, by the way. Totally wasn't worth it. Then we got the extras. Now the PC version, there are 4 menus in the extra. You can look at sprites, view all the jump scares, replay the minigames, only if you got the good ending, and mess around with cheats, if you completed Nightmare Mode. The mobile port removed half of those, so all you get are sprites and cheats. Which means if you get the good ending, you don't even get rewarded with anything. Great! Fascinating enough, you can actually plug in a controller to access the jump scares and minigames. This happens because Scott only unlisted the menus, like he didn't program any buttons for them, but with the controller you can actually select them by going up and down. Scott clearly didn't think anyone would do this, because the minigames don't work as the mobile port doesn't contain the original ones, and the jump scare menu has definitely seen better days.
What the hell?
And yes, you can actually honk Freddy's nose in this game, so that's good.
Let's go!
And then Scott would clearly end up making the FNAF 4 port, pretty quickly actually. Scott definitely knew that a lot of profit came from these ports. It's why he added the shop and why FNAF 6 and UCN aren't free. He's just a businessman. He understands how to get that cheddar. FNAF 4's port is the port I played the least because who's going to plug in headphones into their mobile device to play FNAF? Like, be serious. Also, I swear this one's the slowest out of all the ports. It is unbelievable.
You never know if you don't know. You won't shine if you don't glow.
Similar to FNAF 3, no cutscenes in between nights. I'm not entirely sure why, but at least fun with Push Trap stays intact. The grandfather clock at the beginning of the night has its volume cranked up in this port. Pretty bad when you're trying to hear the breathing at the beginning of the night. Luckily it goes away after like 20 seconds. This game is the only port to not have the same ambience. I don't know why, but the ambience in this port sounds like a water ball and a bunch of cars in the background. If I'm gonna be honest, I genuinely find this creepy because it sounds so off. I don't know what Scott was cooking with this one. Gameplay wise, it's actually identical. It even has the same Easter eggs, except the phone guy one because the ambience changed, I guess. So ignoring the night lengths and lack of minigames, it's the most accurate. I lied again, the game has that one cutscene at the end of night 6 for some reason. Scott, I don't understand you. The extras menu is pretty accurate this time. You know, no cut content. You can still play night 7 with Nightmare. Also, when Nightmare jump scares you, the game shows Nightmare Fredbear for a couple of frames. Looks very off. That's it, FNAF 4. It's pretty similar to the PC if you ignore how slow it is. Next we got FNAF World. Yeah, that's right, FNAF World's here too. Its port only lasted a day before being removed.
No, don't pull. No. Ah!
Apparently there were several different bugs you could get, like losing all your trophies or worse, losing all your characters. Someone said they cried when that happened, and if I'm gonna be honest, I would have cried too. Luckily, I never got any bugs when I played this port, so that's pretty cool, I guess. This port is so salty. I mean, it literally starts with, "Welcome to FNAF World, the game that almost single-handedly destroyed the franchise." Scott was not having it.
Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should yourself now.
Port-wise, it gets the job done. I feel like if Scott removed some bugs, it would be perfectly fine. The map, for some reason, contains lines on the floor. If you do your moves too fast, your characters will just disappear. They won't be dead, they'll just essentially fail that move. It's funny because Scott stated multiple times that this game was actually designed for mobile. Evidently so.
Maybe the Atari style wasn't so bad. This looks like a mobile phone game.
The change in story is pretty funny. For example, the port just creates a plot point where we are given a chump stick that we have to throw at Scott. I kid you not, there are people who don't like this game because of the change in story.
What?
They want Scott to keep the original story. I'm just wondering, what story? FNAF World on PC has absolutely zero story. Most people are aware that if you wait a while, you'll get the secret Fredbear dialogue. You know, telling you how to get a different ending. In this game, it's changed to Scott trolling. Fredbear will say the most meme lines, or even at one point ask the player how the port is. And I love it. This dialogue is some of my favorites. I mean, I like how when you beat Scott, he would just straight up say, "At least you didn't use those OP Halloween characters on me." Which, I totally did. Oh yeah, unlike FNAF 4, there is a Halloween update. You're just required to take the secret path. For the people who don't know, there's a secret path. All the characters are viable except Coffee Machine. Beating Freddy in space in mobile is harder than the mobile port. Wait, what? Because you can't duck, which makes a huge difference. You essentially have to get lucky. And I don't want to brag or anything, but I managed to do it. I ended up getting all the characters because... But guys, this game actually gives us some serious lore. If you get all the clocks and get the different endings, the game reveals who did the Bite of 87. It was Bounce Paw. Oh my god, guys. All the questions have been answered. Why is nobody talking about this? I feel like this is the best port so far. It's really accurate and makes a lot of good changes for laughs. You can still download this game on safe websites. At least I hope they're safe. I mean, I haven't gotten viruses. So I'd say it'd be a good time. Well, that's assuming you don't get any bugs.
What the? Oh!
Last port to talk about is Sister Location. I really like this one. I remember getting this on day one, just like FNAF World. I also beat it in like an hour. Well, at least the real ending. It's actually not slow. It runs at a moderate speed, so that's good. Right off the bat, the game lacks the beginning cutscene with William, but I say this one's pretty valid change because who really cares? I know this is a weird change to point out, but in the PC version, the title screen switches between all 4 of the Funtime crew. In the old port, it only has Funtime Freddy. That's right, Scott. I know every change you make. I've dissected all these ports. You ain't slick. This game is almost pretty accurate as well, but there are still a decent amount of changes. You can't move the screen around this room or honk any of the noses. Unacceptable! There's also no home segments, which is the only part of this port I would consider bad. I mean, I guess Scott really just hated cutscenes between nights in these ports. I really liked how these old ports dealt with the audio parts of the game. In Balora's room, the game will show you a red exclamation mark if she's close. This is very considerate. A lot of y'all will say this defeats the purpose of that minigame, but like I said with FNAF 4, no one's trying to deeply listen to their mobile device. On night 3, we aren't allowed to go check on Baby. I know, it's very devastating change. Night 4 is much better in this. For one, it's cut in half. It's so much easier to tighten the spring locks with a touchscreen. I was actually able to one-shot Night 4 when I got the game. This makes the whole game better. Very considerate with Night 4 as well. Night 5 is pretty similar, except I'm pretty sure a lot of Baby's dialogue was cut for no reason.
You must follow my instructions in Funtime Auditorium. Ballora is going to follow you. She will try to catch you. I will help you avoid her. She will not follow you inside the scooping room. She is afraid. Go back now. You must follow my instructions in Funtime Auditorium. Go back now.
And then we get the real ending. But as you would know, we're not done. For one, we got the extras menu, which is almost identical. It's just missing the blueprints for whatever reason. It also has the baby minigame, so that's good. The minigame, like FNAF 3, was changed for this port. I'm not sure why. It just seems like Scott changed the order of the kids because he felt like it. Either way, it's equally as hard. Private room segment is shorter, but still hard. I managed to beat it, but I swear, the iOS version of this game doesn't always play the N-word movement sounds when he moves. But the Android version does. It's why I was able to beat the game on Android, but couldn't beat it on my brother's iOS. I swear I'm not crazy. This game even had the custom night, which is pretty identical. Only difference is Ballora gives you the exclamation mark. Nice. And you gotta just get rid of Lola by hitting the keypad. There's also no cutscenes. Yeah, I think Scott just hates cutscenes in these ports. Overall, I prefer this classic port of Sister Location a lot more.
Yes! And I buttered my popcorn from all around the world. Oh, the sweet taste of victory.
And there you have it. All of the original FNAF mobile ports. They've all been remastered, but they're just not the same. The originals just created this simple charm that was lost in the remasters. Every old port has some reason for you to prefer it. Except FNAF 3.